All right, looks like I am live. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to PTM Hangout. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to PTM Hangout. Are you here with me right now? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Are you with me? If you are with me, let me know that you are with me. My name is Maribeth Shima. I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy. I'm the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources, and I'm super excited to be on your screen. Are you here right now? Where are you joining me from? Are you on Facebook? Are you on YouTube? Wherever you are, please let me know where you're joining me from, and also let me know if you can hear me and you can see me clearly. Let me know where you are joining from and if you can see me clearly. If you're watching us on YouTube, have you invited a friend here already? Have you shared the link? Why don't you take a minute and share the link straight away? If you are with us on YouTube, and if you are on Facebook, why don't you go ahead and tag a friend that needs to be here right now? Let's know that we have company with us. I have not gotten any comments yet, so I am assuming that perhaps I am not visible. Am I visible at your end? Can you see me? Can you hear me? I need to be sure that I am. If you can see me and you can hear me, please let me know that you can. All right, this is PTM Hangout, and today we're looking at how we can help our children who struggle in school. How do we help our children who struggle in school? Do you have a child who is struggling in school? Do you know a child who is struggling in school? All right, let's talk about, why they struggle in school and perhaps how you can help your child who is struggling in school. All right, if you are with me, don't just be in the background. Let me know that I have got company and let me know where you are watching me from. I am streaming live from the capital city of Nigeria. I am streaming live from Abuja. If you're watching me, do let me know where you're watching me from. All right, so children struggle in school for many reasons, okay? And that's a fact. They struggle in school for many, what am I feeling like? So children struggle in school for many reasons, and today I'm going to be looking at some of the foundational reasons why children struggle in school. Because if we want to look at, why children struggle in school, there are so many reasons why your child could be struggling in school. All right. So as a parent, when you get to that point where you're worried about how your child is doing in school, you want to ask yourself a few questions. Okay. And one of the questions you want to ask yourself is, if your child is having, it depends on how severe it is or how long. It's not really how long, it depends on how severe. Okay, there's also time in it also. So you want to be sure that this child does not have a learning challenge, right? Yes, a learning challenge, something that is stopping the child from being able to learn like every other person. So you need to be sure that this child does not have a challenge in learning and that this child does not learn differently from other people. And this is not something that you would know on your own. So as a parent, the moment you get to that point where all right. The moment you get to the point where you are becoming concerned about your child's learning abilities, okay, for instance, your child is not just interested at all in learning, or that the child does not stay calm to learn. It could be there's a point it gets to, or the child is a particular age. You have checked, the learning milestones and developmental milestones, and your child is a particular age and the child doesn't seem to be achieving any of those developmental milestones that they should be achieving. Now, it's not for you to just jump and decide that the child has got a problem. Okay, what's important at this point is that you seek intervention, at least go and find out. Someone's joined me. Nena, I see you. Thank you for joining me. If you are here with me on Facebook, on YouTube, please don't just be in the background. Let us know that we have got company. All right, let's do a bit of housekeeping here. All right. So if you have a friend that needs to be here right now, go ahead and invite them. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and share the link to this broadcast so that you can have your friends that need to be here join us. And if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, it's a good time. Okay, it's a good time to subscribe so that every time we go on live, you would get the notification and join us. Okay. All right, 1 second, so that you can get the notification to join us every time we go live. All right, so as I said, for you to get this, for you to know that your child is probably having, a challenge in learning, you don't make this decision on your own. What you're doing is you're just observing the child, and when you see that the child is not meeting certain developmental milestones, then you want to take them in so that an expert can diagnose them and just eliminate the fact that the child could be a child that needs to learn differently or needs extra support. Let's put it that way, that needs, extra support because of how they learn. So it's very important that we do this. And the truth is, children learn differently in terms of pace and style. Okay, our children, even for those ones who do not have developmental challenges or learning challenges, for your regular child who doesn't have this, children still learn differently in terms of their style of learning and in terms of their pace of learning. So what do I mean by pace of learning? All right, just give me a second. 1 second, please. All right. All right, 1 second, please. All right, sorry about that. All right, so as I said, children learn differently in terms of pace and in terms of style. So your children, you may have two children, and these two children will learn differently. In terms of pace, I was trying to explain in terms of pace. Now you could have children, you could have 10 children in a class as an educator, or as a parent, you can have two children. They may even be as close as being twins. Okay, they may be that, being twins. Yet each of these children is going to learn differently. Right. Now it could take one child, a few minutes to understand certain thing, a particular thing that you are teaching the child. Yet it will take another child probably 5 hours to understand the same thing. Now, this could also be linked to their temperament. Okay, you could have a child that is a typical phlegmatic child, and that child can stay calm and listen to the teacher or listen to the instruction as you are giving the instruction. Yet you could have a typical sanguine child who is just up and about, bouncy and all of that. And it will take more to get that child to calm themselves down to listen to you. So because one child because one child can, based on the child's temperament, is able to calm down and listen, the child will get the instructions better or more than a child that is all over the place. Now, it doesn't mean that the child that is all bubbly, and all of that would not eventually come around to getting this instruction. The child would. It's just that one child is more focused at the time and so is able to get it one time. So as parents, if we understand this, then we will be helping our children. All right, let me just address this, right? So so recently we send tags, right? We tag members in the group. It's a Facebook feature, Right. It's a Facebook feature that allows you tag every member in the group at the same time. Now, this is a private group, meaning for everyone who is here, you definitely clicked on the button to join, right? Even when you're invited by people, you will have to, accept that invitation for you to be in the group. Now, if you are in the group, in the parenting group, we expect that it's because you want to share, you want to learn, and you want to be a part of the learning that is going on here. Now, would we would use that feature basically because the feature sends notification to everyone in the group saying, oh, this is happening right now. Would you like to be a part of it? Now, it's two ways. You either want to be a part of it, or you either want to be a part of that particular learning, or okay, you want to pass. And the good thing about this tag is that it does not show on your profile. It's not as if you're tagged and it shows on your profile. It's basically just a notification, meaning you can honor that notification or you can just pass on the notification. Okay, I'm saying this because many times people are like, oh, this tag, better stop it and all of that. No, it's not an obligation. Basically, you're just tagged saying, hey, there's something here. Could you look at it? And, if it doesn't resonate, okay, it means that you can just basically that. All right. So, I think it's not, I think it's not too much if you ask me. All right, so I just thought to throw a bit of light on that basically, and it's only that way because it's a closed group and it is expected that you want to be a part of what's going on in the group. That's why you are in the group. All right, so amazing. Let's move on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Do you have a friend that needs to be here? Please invite them to be a part of what we're doing here. Do you have someone that needs to know the things that we're talking about here? Please tag them on Facebook and send them the link on YouTube so that they can join. If you have not joined our YouTube channel, what is wrong with you? Just click on the subscribe button and be a part of what we do. And then, of course, use the bell so that you would get notified every time we come live. And then, if we're talking about something that resonates, please give us the fire emoji or give us a thumbs up so that more people will learn from what we are doing here. All right. So as I'm talking, I'm going to be talking mostly about your young children. My focus is on your young children. So you have your young children who are just leaving toddlerhood, and they're 6 and 7 and 10 and 12, your young children and your preteens basically. All right. So we are looking at why your child may be struggling in school. Thank you very much. I see you, Itodo Franca. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who is joining us. Yes, thank you for being here. All right, so we are looking at why your child may be struggling, and I'm looking at some of the foundational reasons why your child may be struggling in school. There are so many reasons. Please, there is no cap on it. There are so many reasons why a child could be struggling in school. But today, I'm just looking at some foundational reasons why your child may be struggling in school. Okay, parents, I want you to note this, put this somewhere, that every child will thrive if every parent understands differentiation. Every single child, your children, if you have 5 children, each of those 5 children will thrive. And when I say thrive, I do not mean survive. I do not mean get by. I do not mean be average. I mean each of your 5 children will thrive. They will do exceptionally well if you as a parent understands the place of differentiation. What is differentiation? Differentiation simply means that each of your children learn differently and will require different kind of support for them to thrive. So it simply means that as a parent, you cannot have one yardstick. You can't have one yardstick that you're using to measure every one of these children. You cannot have one standard that you're using to measure these children. And I hope by now, if you've been following me, you know that every time I am talking about education, I'm not just talking about your child's academics. I'm talking about your child's wholesome, I'm looking at education holistically. Okay, I'm looking at your child doing well in school. I'm looking at your child doing well in the area of their skills and their talents. I'm looking at your child doing well in their mindset. Your child does not have a fixed mindset, right? Your child has a growth mindset. I'm looking at your child being able to support themselves, okay, based on their capacity at their age, age appropriately. Your child should be able to thrive at their maximum potential for their age. So yes, there is the maximum potential that your 4-year-old can be thriving at, meaning the child is independent for a 4-year-old. So for your 4-year-old, we do not expect your 4-year-old to be able to go in and make meals and all of that. But basically, your 4-year-old should be able to take his plate to the kitchen after eating and be able to scrub it some sort, and wash it and all of that. So when your 4-year-old is able to do those basic things that are not too much for a 4-year-old, then we say those basic things that are not too much that the child can do without you doing it for the child, and that the child begins to have the initiative at that age or at that level to initiate that task on their own. So the moment your child can initiate a task that is age appropriate on their own without you forcing them, pushing them, or being the one to make it happen all the time, then we say that child is thriving, meaning without you at that level, the child is good, or the child will be fine. So that's what we mean. So basically, every child will thrive if every parent recognize and understands the place of differentiation. Each child is different, and they are going to learn differently as a matter of pace and a matter of style. They will learn the style with which they learn is going to be different, and then the pace, how fast each of them will learn is going to be also different. All right, very key. The other thing I also want you to write down and note is that every child will thrive if every parent truly loves their children unconditionally. I know at this point you're like, hey, I love my children unconditionally. I don't know what to say to you, but what we have realized is we think our intention really as parents is to love our children unconditionally. But a lot of times we do not love our children unconditionally. If you have to put a cap to your love for your child, if you have to put a cap, if your love for your child is not coming from the child's position, like I'm going to love you from wherever you are first, okay, and it's going to spread from there. If your love for your child is not coming from the place of, okay, how I am relating with you per time, how I'm treating you per time, how I'm acting towards you per time is as a result of what you are achieving, what you have done, how you are doing it, and all of that, then that love is not unconditional. Unconditional love is the love that makes you love your child no matter what, no matter how stressful that child is, no matter how hard it is to support that child, no matter how hard it is for that child to cope on their own, no matter how hard it is to make that child do the right thing. It is unconditional love that makes you never compare your children. It is unconditional love that doesn't ever make you say to your child, why is your own different? Why is your own so hard? If Big God does not give me this stress that you give me. Unconditional love is what makes you love Tunde as Tunde is, and we are reference to what Bimbo is. So a lot of times as parents, we say that we love our children unconditionally, but if we look deeply, if we think about it deeply, okay, our children do not see it. So you cannot love someone if the person doesn't see it. You know that thing that we keep saying, oh, I corrected them in love. All these things, now I'm doing it. You are there frowning, you are there doing all of this. I'm doing it for your good. Let me tell you something. If you love a person and the person does not feel genuinely loved, then there is something wrong with that love. Let me take it again. If you love a person, it's like having, I like to use spouses when I try to make parents understand their relationship with their children. If you, as a woman, you have a husband that says he loves you, he loves you, he loves you, but in that love, you don't feel it. right? You do not feel it. This is a man that comes and then he talks down at you. He talks to you anyhow. This is a man that every time you try to give him advice, he doesn't ever listen to you. This is a man that whenever you do something, he shuts you down and all of that. And then when you're having conversations and you say to him, I feel like you don't love me because of the way you do these things and the things that you do to me. And he says to you, what do you mean by that? You're my wife. I love you. I love you. I mean, I love you. He keeps saying, I love you. I love you. I love you. But you do not feel loved, isn't it? You do not feel loved because of the way he's expressing that love. So it is the same thing with your children. If your child is not feeling the love for time and you are waiting for your child to become 25 and 30 years old so that they can now at that point begin to understand the love that you had for them when they were 5 and 8 years old, there is something wrong with that. Okay? At every point, let your children know, let your children feel, and let your children understand that you love them. It is very key in this equation of connection between you as a parent and your child. So I'm going to give you 5 reasons quickly that could be why your child is struggling or your child could struggle in school. Now let's look at it this way, that I am focused on your child, your young child. Okay, I'm focused on your young child, your child that is somewhere, I'm focused on your young child, basically. Let's leave it at that, your young child. All right. So I'm going to be looking at some of the foundational reasons, some of the things that probably happened between ages 0 and 3, ages 0 and 5, 0 and 7, that could be affecting your child, right? And affecting how they learn when they are young children, at the point where they're supposed to have taken charge of their learning to an extent. Okay. Number 1 is that your child was probably not well prepared for learning. Okay, your child was probably not well prepared for learning. Right now, some of us think that learning begins at the point where we take our children to school, the point where we buy them uniforms, we dress them up, we buy these Smiggles lunchbox and bag, and they are looking all pumped up and ready to go to school. We think that is when learning begins, but no, that's not when learning begins. The foundation, the foundation of your child's learning begins from the day the child is born. That's where you begin to build the foundation of your child's life. Okay, now I say to parents parents that join some of the programs, our courses. We have a course that is starting today. It is called the Accelerate Your Child's Learning Experience. Okay, one of the modules in that course, okay, in fact, we're kicking off tomorrow. So today we're just doing what do you call it? We're doing housekeeping today, housekeeping schedules and all of that. So it's a course that anyone can still hop in and join us today. Okay, so one of the modules in that course is about how you can prepare the stage for your child's learning in your home. Learning begins from home, dear parents. Learning begins from home. You are your child's first teacher. You are your child's first teacher. You as a parent, the environment that you create in your home, the people that you allow access to your child in the first 100 days of your life, if you like, in the early years of your child's life, the people that you have allowed access to your child, you and the environment that you create in your home for that child, you are your child's number 1. You are your child's first teacher. So everything, the rest of your child's life is going to be dependent on those first few years of their lives, 0 to 3. Very, very, very important times in the life of your child. And if you understand, you will know that that is the point where your child is at home, or that is the point where you are dumping your child, or you are taking your child somewhere to some creche because you are at work. Okay, now if you are that parent that because of work you have to take your child to a creche, even most of the times they don't even go to the creche till about 3 months, isn't it? And that is because those first first 3 months are very important for your connection, your bonding, and all of that. Now, 0 to 3, by the time you take your children to the creche, I need you to understand that that is something powerful that you are doing. That person, that creche that you are handing your 0 to 3-year-old, that school where you are, that facility, that center where you are dropping your child between 0 and 3 years old. These are the people in your life journey. These are some of the people that when you check, make sure that these are some of the people that you trusted the most in your entire life. Because what you have done is you have taken your child at the point where the rest of your child's life is being primed. The rest of your child's life is being prepared, it's being molded. You take that child and you hand the child to some other person to support you and co-parent that child. That person has to be someone that is highly reliable, highly reliable, and someone that you trust their system and what is going on in that system. Because 0 to 3 years old is a very crucial time in the life of your child, and it's a time that you do not want to joke with, right? It's a time you do not want to joke with. So that's where a lot of the foundational skills that prepares your child for school is being learned, basically. So your child is learning. I mean, that's the time you are introducing rich language. Okay, what are you saying to your child? That's the time that you're teaching your children. Your child is learning verbal, non-verbal cue. Okay, your child is looking into your face. Your child is learning empathy. Your child is developing emotional intelligence. Okay, at that point, your child is developing emotional intelligence. Your child is learning empathy during this stage of their life. Your child is building their social skills and how to relate to people, how to figure out people by just looking at them. So your child is looking, you realize during this phase, your child is constantly looking into your face and into your eyes, because at this stage, your child does not have verbal expression, and your child probably does not understand your verbal expression. So all that the child takes, how the child feels loved, how the child feels accepted, all of that is determined by what your child can see in your facial expressions. So whether your child is looking into your face or your child is looking at the faces of the people who you have handed the child to tend to the child while you are working, it is important that these people understand this phase in the life of your child. So what we have most of the times is our children are just left in these places where the children are allowed to sleep, and even when these people feed them, they feed them without tenderness. There's no tenderness. There's no tenderness when they are feeding them. There's nothing that is done, from a place of tenderness, a place of warmth, and a place of empathy. This is the time sometimes you have them in crashes where people get irritated by your child crying and your child, wanting to be cuddled and all of that, because these people do not understand this phase in the life of your child. So no, this is not the phase that you joke with. If you cannot get reliable people at this point, then you need to stay and do this on your own, or get a place where you can trust, right, at this stage. So this is the time that your child is learning non-verbal cue. Your child is learning emotional intelligence, emotional connection. Your child is learning to regulate. Okay, this is the point where your child is learning to regulate. Okay, this is the point where your child is learning rich language. What kind of language? How do you speak to this child? How do the people in your home speak to the child? Your child is learning all of this. This is the time where your child is exploring, all right? Between the ages of 0 and 5, 0 and 7, your child is exploring their environment. Your child is getting to understand the world around them. Your child's curiosity kicks in, and this is the period When your child's curiosity kicks in, their natural instincts, right? Their natural instincts kicks in and all of that. Now, these are the things that if you have an environment in your home that is highly stimulating, if you have an environment in your home that stimulates the child at this point, as a parent, if you know what should be in your environment, if you know what to introduce into your environment at this stage of the child's life, then what you're doing is you are preparing the child for school. But many times we don't know how to prepare our children for school because we don't know what to do. All right. So by the time you have children come to school, you have certain children who would begin to thrive as soon as they get to school. Why? Because the children are coming from homes where their foundational skills. Hi, Omola, good to have you. All right. Okay. So you're excited about that course. I know, right? Yes, yes, I'm excited too. All right. So this is the stage where your child is learning all of those foundational skills that will basically help the child when the child preparing the child for school. But because you don't know what to do, and this is what we're going to be doing with the parents in that course, we're going to be telling you what to do. So I don't know if you're a toddler parent and you're not taking that course. Me, I don't even understand why you're not, because this is you need to know. Many times we don't know. We don't know what to introduce into our space. We don't know how to speak to our children at this stage. We don't know what to look out for. We don't know how to help our children preserve their natural instincts. We don't know how to introduce play or how to invite our children to play at this level of their life. Remember, they cannot even talk. This is the time that we just leave them with a maid at home. In many cases, you just leave them with a maid at home that is just simply there to give them food and then put them to sleep. If you know what you are leaving on the table by these things that we do in the name of we have a job to go to. And I'm not even saying that you shouldn't go to those jobs. You can still go to those jobs, but hey, if you know what you should be introducing into your environment, if you know the kind of learning that your child can be achieving even while you are away, provided you have a trusted person that is supporting the child, then you will be doing the child a lot of good. I promise you, parents. But then again, if you don't know, then you will be stifling a lot. You will begin to put blocks in the way of your children that they will suffer from for the rest of their lives. And it's so sad that we do these things without knowing. Ignorantly, we do this thing. But the thing is, whether it's done in ignorance or it's done in knowledge, the children still suffer for it. Really sad. All right. So if your children are prepared in this way, the right things have been introduced into their environment, they've been introduced, all of these skills that I've just talked about have been introduced for that level. You realize that when your children get into school, when they go to in kindergarten, they go to early years, right? You realize that the child gets right in and the child begins to thrive. The child begins to thrive simply because the parents understood the assignment. The parents understood the tools that they needed. The parents understood how to support the child at that level. And so the child will learn the skills that the child needs, right, to prepare for school. Okay, awesome. Okay, even if for some people, for some people, the children don't even, if you go to some part of the world, the children don't even go to school. They don't go to school till they are somewhere around 5 and 6. That's because these systems understand that the foundation skills that is needed for your children to thrive in life is at home. So because they understand this, the school is not rushing you to bring your child to school. Be at home and let the children learn all of these foundation skills that they need basically to prepare them for learning, that they need to prepare them for school. Very, very key. All right. Number 2 is your children. As I said, we are looking at, you now have a child, you now have a young child. You have a young child, your first phase of the child's life is past, and you have a young child. And yet your young child is struggling in school. What can be responsible for why your young child is struggling in school? Remember, I have said already that every child will thrive if their parents understand differentiation. very key. Don't forget that. And then every child will thrive if their parents understand, or if their parents know to love them unconditionally. All right. So number two things I said is independent learning. By the time your child is young, your child is 7 and 8 and 10 and 12. If your child has not become some sort of an independent learner, then chances are that child could struggle in school. What do I mean by your child being an independent learner? At the time your child goes to preschool, okay, your child goes to preschool. They go to preschool. What's happening in preschool is a lot of play. It's a lot of play in school. They are learning through play. They're exploring their environments, right? They are understanding their environment. They are learning social skills, learning emotional skills, right? Through play with their friends in the playground, in the classroom, through interaction with their teachers. They are learning rich language. Interaction with you at home, they are learning rich language, and all of that. All right, from what is going on all around them, your children are learning to problem solve through while they are playing. They get obstacles in the way as they are playing. They learn to find their way through those obstacles. Your children are learning to problem solve. Your children are curious, okay? And nobody is stifling their curiosity. You are allowing them discover things on their own. You are allowing them fiddle with things. You are allowing them play with things. You are allowing them play in sand. They are developing their fine motor skills, their gross motor skills. Your children are jumping around and running around. It is said that the language of learning for a child is movement. If your child is not moving, your child is really not learning. Now you have done all of this during your foundation, during preschool and all of that, right? The child has done all of this. You've introduced your child, right, to things that help them build their attention span. All right, so you've introduced them to games. You have introduced them to games. You have introduced them to things that they do. Until your child is a participant, is an active participant of an activity, your child is probably not going to be learning much. Okay, now when we have parents who make their children passive learners, all right, how do you make your child passive learner? When you create and you create things and you put things in your environment that your children just simply need to look at for them to learn. The things that other people do basically without your children putting their hands to the plow and trying. So you have all of this passive learning all around you. Now your child goes to real school or go to proper school by the time they are 6. And when they are 6 and they go to proper school, you have your children learning. While they are learning, and then we come with that, oh, me, I don't even have time. I'm really busy. I have work to do and all of that. So what do? You get them teachers. So your children go to school, and if they happen to be in those kind of schools where all of a sudden the school believes that the moment the children leave a preschool and they are now in proper school, it is serious business here. So now they have to write 100 to 200. They have to copy notes. So the children go to school, and at this point, some schools will even take play. They reduce the amount of time that your children put into play. So your children are meant to be serious. They are now in year 1. So your child is serious. So in school is a lot of instructions. Copy the notes. A noun is the name of this. And then you say it. What is a noun? Your child memorizes and regurgitates. After memorizing and regurgitating, okay, the teacher writes a long note. The child is supposed to copy. So the child copies and copies and copies, even if the writing does not make sense. The child is copying. They say we're learning how to write. And all of that, the child does all of that, and then the child comes home. Because of course your child is already learning skills that they've not been prepared for. Your child is learning skills that are hectic for the child at that time. Okay, what happens? The child is probably not really doing well with it. Okay. And so what do? You meet that same teacher in class where the child is working and not getting it. And you say to the teacher, can you come home and do lesson for my child? And so the teacher comes home and all of that. So what happens? Home is an extension of what the child is doing in school as an extension of what the child is doing in school. Same teacher or another teacher from the school or something like that is still the same. Write it. copy it, erase it, rewrite it well, and all of that. So what is it? You're gradually building your child to depend on other people when it comes to learning. So at every point that the child is meant to be learning, there is some adult, like some sort of a shadow. There's always a shadow by the child. There is always a shadow adult, a shadow teacher, someone always guiding the child. So you realize that the child's natural instinct, the child does not apply himself in his learning. The child is not allowed to be creative about his learning. The child is not allowed to try things, to infer things on his own. A lot of times there's always the adult. Some of you will say, oh no, I allow the child, the lesson teacher will just sit down there and allow him do it. There is that pressure that comes with knowing that there is someone sitting down there and expecting you to do something a certain way. A lot of the times you will play to what you think is this person will accept. Do you get that? So a lot of times your child will play to what it is that this person will accept. So it is the way Miss Funke has taught me. That is the only way I will do it, and I will give it to Miss Funke. So unfortunately, Miss Funke is with you in school. Then when you get home, Miss Funke is with you again at home. So you realize the only way you know to do it is to do it Miss Funke's way. You will never try to see, is there a way I can arrive at this in my own way? Can I figure it out differently? Can I think about it differently? So you realize at every point the child is trying to do it in a way that works for a particular person. That's why our children are constantly saying to us, that is not what my teacher said. That is not how my teacher said. Have you tried sometimes to even try a different method to teach your child a particular thing? And the child is all stuck on what the teacher said. This is how. So our children are not being creative about their learning. They're not owning their learning. So if you are a parent that is constantly having people shadow your children in the name of learning, you are not going to allow that child become an independent learner. So yes, I am not saying, and now don't go and quote me and say I said lesson teachers are bad and all of that. But what I'm saying is, if all your child's learning is going to be guided, supervised, and guided, supervised by other people, what you're doing is you're taking the liberty of your child to explore in their learning and to learn as they want to. So you are stifling, you're putting a cap on your child's ability to be a freelance when it comes to learning. All right, so you will not allow that child become an independent learner, an explorative learner, a learner that wants to try new things, a learner that wants to discover new things. The other day I was reading how a boy in the UK discovered, a Nigerian boy, I think, in the UK, discovered a different formula for something and all of that. Now, if we are constantly putting caps, lesson teacher, this teacher, that teacher, our children will not be explorative enough to discover new formulas for anything, if you understand what I'm saying. So this is part of why your child may struggle, especially when your child leaves one particular system and goes to another system where some of these things that you do here are not available. Your child is likely going to struggle because you have not raised an independent learner. Very, very key. All right. Number 3, your parents do not understand that children learn differently. So when, as a parent, you are not quick to, you're not paying attention. As a parent, you are not paying attention to your children and trying to understand how they learn from the word go. As soon as your child is born, you should start paying attention to that child, right? Right from when they are 2 weeks and 3 weeks, if you're paying attention, you will begin to pick certain traits in the child. You'll begin to understand why this child is different from this other child. You will start understanding their different temperaments. The temperament begins to show up right from when our children are little. That is why one child, you just cry, you pick him up, and then you look him, you touch him, and then the child is fine and the child is good. Meanwhile, there's another one, when you pick him, drop him, from there you begin to understand the difference in children and all of that. So Parents who pay attention will find out, will learn their children's temperament. Okay, they will learn their children's temperament, and they will also begin to understand the difference from one child to the other. And then as you keep going, you will realize how your children learn differently, how they want to be loved differently, and all of that. Now, it is your place, dear parents. It is your place as a parent, not just to know these things for book knowledge, not just to read them in books, not just to hear us say about this, talk about these things. It is your responsibility to take this information and what you now know about your child and apply it in how you support that child, apply it in how you raise that child. So yes, that you know that this particular child loves to be praised. Okay, your child, this particular child loves to be praised. It means that in your raising that child, you will use praises and rich language as a way, as a tool in raising that child. Okay, this particular child likes to be cuddled, okay, and all of that. It means that this will become a very big tool in parenting that child. All right, so when parents know this, they're able to support their children better, and this will affect how your child learns. Okay, we hear these things a lot of the times. Oh yes, my child is kinesthetic. Oh, my child's real love language is acts of kindness and all of that. At the end of the day, we finish saying these things, but we still do not apply them, even for those of us who know. You are still the parent that just leave me, go. Just go, I'm tired. Tomorrow, go, I'm tired. Wednesday, I'm tired. Every day, I'm tired. Yet, you are saying that this child's love language is, is act of love and all of that, or godly or whatever, right? So you need to understand basically what your children are, what your children love, right? You need to understand which of your child likes to be touched, which of your child likes to be touched, which of your child likes to be cuddled, and all of that. And all of this should play in how you help them learn. Basically, I said before, when I talk about learning, I'm not just talking about what your children do in classroom, math and English. I'm talking about all the things that could hinder your child's learning in different areas of their lives. So that's number 3. Number 4, stability in your home. How stable is it in your home? How stable? How is the energy in your home? What's the atmosphere like in your home? If you have a home that is constant strife, if you have a home where the way models of communication is screaming and shouting, if you have a home where the excuse me, please, and thank you is gradually fading away, okay, and is being replaced by leave that place, get out of there. Did I tell you? If you have a home where you are replacing, what do they call them? The magic words, as the children will say. So if you have a home where the magic words is constantly being replaced by harsh tones and negative expressions, then you will be setting the pace for negative energy in your space. You will be setting the pace for strife in your home. When your children cannot say to themselves anymore, oh, thank you, Tunde. Oh, can you pass me that? Oh, could you help me with this? When your children do not even know what it means to be polite anymore. All right, some of us have, we have gradually turned our home to some, I don't know, for some people, I don't know. Kind words do not even have a place in our home anymore, right? It's as if someone tries to be kind and you're asking, what do you want from me? Someone tries to speak in rich, expressions, and it's like, what is going on here, and all of that, because somehow we have normalized harsh tones and harshness and crude way of speaking and all of that. Look at your father, get out of there, God punish you. Because we have normalized this. Okay, your child comes in, we say it's joke and whatever, but I don't know, some of those jokes I don't get it. All right, so some of those jokes I don't get it, but I think that as children we should allow our children enjoy a proper environment where people talk kindly, nicely, people praise themselves, people pay compliments to each other, and all of that. Your child should be able to say, oh wow, that's a beautiful dress you're wearing, Ada. Okay, your children should not take themselves for granted. as your spouse should, I mean, as spouses, we shouldn't take ourselves for granted. For granted, you should have a system. I mean, you should have a home, or and the energy in your home should be one that compliments is not strange. That's what I'm saying. Compliments is not strange. Kind words not strange, giving people a helping hand not strange, congratulating people is not strange. Some of us build, I mean, we take this thing far, and it's from the way we're raised. We move from it just being at home. Even in our friendships, we have friends that cannot even congratulate us when we need to be congratulated, and people are just supposed to take it that it is normal. Just move. Okay, you do something that is remarkable, something happens to you that all outsiders are saying, oh, congratulations, well done. And people that are close to you, complacency sets in, and they remove, I mean, they don't feel they should congratulate you, celebrate you, and all of that. We get to the point where even in our homes, we can't even say I love you to our children, and our children do not use such expressions towards us, because somehow we have taken that, we've expunged that from our relationships. Okay, we get to the point where our children cannot say, oh, mom, wow, I mean, try this stuff, let's see what that looks like. We manage to take that away from our relationships with our children. All right, so if you do not intentionally build the energy in your home to be such that people are kind, people are warm, people are expressive, people are compassionate, okay, and you do not have that love and tenderness pumping out of your windows and through your doors, then you will be raising children who will think that strife is normal. And so you have a home where people are constantly yelling and shouting and quarreling and doing all of that. So what that does is it could affect your child's stability. And a child that is coming from a home that is not stable, it will affect how they perform in school, at work, and in everything that they do. So you have parents who are constantly fighting and at each other's neck. We have parents who constantly, throw negative words at each other. You have cases where we have parents who are so physical, as in they're aggressive, and the aggression gets even really very physical, that they use items and things like that to try and hurt themselves, or they hurt themselves emotionally or in words that these children can hear. What will happen is you will create some level of instability in that child. And when a child is not stable, when the home is not stable, it definitely would affect your child and how they do at school and all of that. Okay, and this instability could also be when there is no provision at home. Okay, when the child is from a home where they don't have their needs met. Okay, there's that constant survival, mentality or survival instinct. Okay, half the time the children don't have what they need, or half the time they don't have half the time they don't have what they need. When that happens in the home, it kind of affects the child's stability and how well the child does in school. All right, so that's why we say, at your level, create a life for your children at the level, at your own level, create some stability at your own level. Okay, so the kind of lifestyle you introduce your children to, all right, should be a lifestyle that can be consistent with your level, and you can provide for your children, right, based on the lifestyle you provide for them can be stable at the level where you are at. It's very key, because stability is going to come from that. All right, so as a middle class family, okay, as a middle class family, even if it's a lower middle class family, if you can have a lifestyle, right, that serves your lower middle class family and creates a lifestyle for your child that is stable, that stability is as good as the kind of stability that an extremely rich person provides for their child. We're talking stability now at your level, based on your lifestyle. Okay, you create stability for your children, and this stability could be that your children probably go to a school where they pay 50,000 naira. All right, they pay just 50,000 naira in that school. You can afford to pay that 50,000 naira without stress every time, right? As a parent, you understand that, okay, there's certain part of this child's learning that could be missing, right, because of the kind of school that we're sending them to. So I'm going to brace myself and I'm going to support the child and try to, give them, to the best of my ability, some of the things that they are missing from, not being able to be in certain kind of places and all of that. At that level, you provide some stability for the child. And now this is what your child knows as stability. And that stability is regular because you can, sustain it, basically. The stability that your child would know what is happening in your child's mind will be as stable as what the man who can send his child on vacation abroad or wherever and send them to the best of schools. The same kind of stability that that child has, your child will be able to get. As a matter of fact, you can even have a case of a child from this kind of home having a stability that is even better off than a child from a very rich home. Because what we're saying is stability it's not just about your financial your financial ability. It's also about what's going on in your space, what's going on in your home, what's going on with your relationships, what's going on with your lifestyle. All of it is all encompassing. All right, so create stability for your children, at whatever level you find yourself as a parent. All right, so that's number 4. And then the last one, I said I was going to give you 5, is you do not allow your children play to their strength. You do not allow your children play to their strength. So, as a parent, as I said, when you understand how your children learn, you're paying attention to who your child is. You're paying attention to what your children are skilled at or not skilled at, what your talents or gifts or what are the things that your children have that come naturally to them. You pay attention to all of these things. Then you pay attention to the things that your children have learned that they enjoy and they love to do. When you pay attention to these things, you begin to help your children grow and you help them. I can see a lot of your names, Facebook user. Okay, thank you for joining us, everyone who is with us. Thank you. If you have questions, just start putting them down. I'm going to take your questions before we go if you have any. All right. So what was I saying? So when you pay attention to all of these things, right, as a parent, you pay attention to what your children love, you pay attention to what they have talents for, you pay attention to the things that your children can do well. Now, what do? You engage your children in these areas. You allow your children, you engage your children in these areas and you begin to allow your children hone skills, hone their talents, okay, build talents and all of that. Now you also begin to help your children with the skills that they need to help that interest or that talent that they have gain full expression. I'll give you, for instance. So your child is very cerebral, your child is very academically sound and all of that. Your child is academically sound. He goes to school, by the time they teach a concept, he picks it easily, and all of that. Some children will, naturally endowed that way, right? They pick a concept easily, probably based on their temperament, and the fact that, they've been endowed that way, right? They've been blessed by God that way. So now, doesn't mean I'm talking about this child that is endowed that way naturally. Doesn't mean that another child that is all over the place cannot be supported to be as great as this person. Let's not get that one twisted. Any child can be supported to do well. Okay, let's put that aside. So now you have this child that does that and understands concepts easily and is doing well and all of that. Now, as a parent, you already know that, okay, this is what this child loves. When you talk about math, he's there. You talk about science, this is what he wants to do. He's studying and all of that. So what do? You begin to teach your child other skills, right? Other skills. You begin to train them in other skills that will help them flourish, in what they're doing here. So for your child that loves math, you begin to use math, right, to teach the child focus, isn't it? You use it to teach the child focus. You use it to teach the child. You help the child to get organization skills. So you help your child to get organization skills, right? So if the child comes in, his space is organized and all of that, it means that he's able to sit down and study, since he's that kind of person. He loves to study and all of that, right? So you teach him how to come and stay in his organized space. In his organized space, he's able to study better and all of that. All right. You teach this child how to be patient, because you understand that, oh, sometimes he's trying to solve, and when he doesn't get it right, he's restless and all of that. You can see that in him. So you begin to teach the child, you begin to bring in things that will help the child learn to be patient with himself, and all of that. So you want to introduce things like puzzle, where the child will have to, work with the puzzle, try to piece them together. While he's doing that, he's calmly walking through it and all of that. So when you understand the talents and the skills that your children have, your child loves to sing. Your child loves to sing. So it simply means that, okay, I would have to introduce this child to a musical instrument at some point, isn't it? Introduce them to musical instruments. Now the child begins to play and the child is enjoying it. What do? You begin to teach this child how to be organized. You're going to have to perform in the future. This is your strength. You're going to have to perform in the future. You're going to have to do all of this. But hey, how you comport yourself, how you show up early for your performances, very key. So you would teach the child time management. You look for how you can teach this child time management. You look for how you can teach this child social skills, social connections, how to create social connections and build those social connections. So you do all of these. Teaching the child all of these things is you trying to teach them the basic skills that will help them thrive in the areas of their interest and their talent. Your child loves to play football and all of that. So what do? Because you understand that I don't want a footballer that is just going to play football and one day he retires and he has nothing to go to. So what do? You begin to direct the child towards financial skills. You begin to teach the child about entrepreneurship skills. You begin to introduce all of these things, okay, and begin to hone the skills. Just because you want to use this as foundational skills that will help them thrive in the areas of their interest. We need to understand these things. These are all of the things I have just shared with you, tips and bits from the course that the Accelerate Your Child's Learning Experiences. I've just shared with you tips and bits from that course. Basically, that course starts today, okay? But today we're doing a lot of housekeeping and all of that. We go into full-blown, practice tomorrow. The sessions will start tomorrow. So you can still be a part of it if you want to. Apart from that, we do this also in the mastermind. In the mastermind, the program where we run for preteens, for young children and preteens, okay? We introduce these skills that we're talking about. We introduce skills to the children and we help them piece things and begin to learn the skills basically that they need today that will help them thrive in the areas of their interest and their talents. We do all of this with the children. So basically what we do in the mastermind is we support you to maximize your child's potential. We create the accountability that your child needs. The extra accountability that your child needs outside of you, right, for the child to begin to direct themselves, basically. Thank you very much, everyone who has been a part of this session. Thank you very much. I'm looking out for your questions if you have any. If you would still like to join the Accelerate Your Child's Learning Experience course, you still have today. Let's say you still have to the end of today till about 12 midnight to register and be a part of that course. If you would like your child to be a part of the Mastermind Circle, an amazing place for any young child, age 7 and 13. We started registration for January. So your child can actually hop in and join us. All you need to do is take a slot for the child by registering with just 5,000 naira, and then you can pay the rest of the fee for the entire year instrumentally from now to February. Okay, to join the mastermind is 40,000 for the entire year of 2023, but you can get the slot right now with just 5,000, and then you can pay instrumentally 10,000 till you finish off. But the child is going to have accountability, support, peer mentorship, and you will have access to me. And so you can bring all those your questions every now and then, and we will answer them. We're not coaching you, but we're here to coach you. Somehow you will have to go and get your own accountability, right? But hey, we are holding your child accountable. But whatever it takes to help you support your child, we will be willing to support you that way. All right. So thank you very much, everyone who has made time to be here with us today. We do not take it for granted. I can't see any questions. If I see any questions, I will answer them, but I can't see any. So we are 6 minutes late. So I'm just going to go ahead and sign off for the day. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. Bye. Bye-bye.